The common, there are many, of course, viral skin infections. In particular, childhood exanthemes. exanthemes بمعنى الطفح الجلدي. الطفح الجلدي عند الأطفال بالذات. راح نتكلم. There are 6 diseases from first to 6th. And then we will talk about warts, الثالول, smallpox, الجدري, monkeypox, الجدري ايش؟ نعم جدري القرود، اوكي، او الحيوانات بشكل عام، and herpes viruses. Then we are going to study the pathogenesis of these organisms, the clinical manifestations, diagnosis of the different diseases. And lastly, we have to be able to differentiate between these diseases. Let us start with childhood exantheme. Exanthema. What is the meaning of exanthema? Is a breaking out. It means rash, طفح جلدي, causing childhood diseases. There are 6 diseases. 4 of them viral, and 2 are bacterial. Because we are today speaking about viral infections, so the bacterial skin infections, we don't speak about them. We will leave them for other lectures. So the first disease is rubiola, measles, الحصبة. كلكم سامعين بمرض الحصبة. It's called rubiola or measles. It's the first disease, and it is caused by measles virus. اسم المرض واسم الفيروس the same. Measles virus and measles. The rubella, الحصبة الألمانية, German measles, is this 3rd disease, which is caused by rubella virus. So what is the second? The second is scarlet fever, الحمى القرمزية, which is the second disease which is caused by Streptococcus pyogenes. We will talk about it later in another lecture. Then we come to the 4th disease, which is caused by Staph aureus, again bacteria. We will leave that for another lecture. Then we will come to erythema infectiosum, which is the 5th disease, parvovirus B19. And lastly, Rhiziola infantum, 6th disease, which is caused by human herpes viruses 6 and 7. And previously we have discussed herpes viruses. So today we will talk about the viral infection. The 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th. Starting with the 1st, measles, or we call it hard measles sometimes, another name, or we call it rubiola, to differentiate it from rubella. Rubiola is the measles. Rubella is the German measles. Okay? شوية الأسماء يعني متقاربة. This is acute, as you know, يعني كثيرين منكم عارفين شو هي الحصبة. وجداتنا عارفين شو هي الحصبة. لأن في زمانهم ما كان في لقاح. It's an acute, highly communicable virus disease. Very communicable. يعني الأطفال من يختلطوا مع بعض هيك شوي ينعدم. It starts as fever, conjunctivitis, cough, photosensitivity, sensitivity to light. And it is characterized by the presence of what we call them goblet spots in the mouth. Goblet spots, look to this. These are the goblet spots in the mouth. The inside of the cheeks, the inside of the cheeks, الخد من الداخل من الفم. These appear as a white, irregular spots with a bluish-white center. They appear for a short period in the beginning and then disappear. So sometimes in hospitals, we depend on them to diagnose measles, if we can see them, of course, in the beginning. So goblet spots in the mouth, these are small red spots and containing a bluish-white speck or dot in the center. Goblet spots. The rash appear on the face for 3 to 7 days. So it starts on the face and then becomes generalized over the body. The rash, وحتى أمهاتنا وجداتنا كانوا بيعرفوا طفل من ينصاب براش على الوجه وبعدين ينتشر على الجسم بيقولوا هذا حصبة. Now, it is caused by single-stranded RNA virus, which is negative sense virus, and envelope. So you can see here, envelope, single-stranded RNA. This is the structure of the measles virus. دكتور مطلوب مننا structure؟ لا غير مطلوب. بس شوفه أنه envelope virus, single-stranded RNA, negative sense. That's it. Okay? تفاصيل لا بس شوفه. This is the child with measles. You can see the face, that the rash started on the face. Intense rash. These are the goblet spots that we have discussed. The pathogen of measles, as I said, it is called measles virus or rubiola virus, right? The family Paramyxoviridae. كمان دكتور نحفظها لا اسماء الفاميلي لا. Just for you, for you. You can see that the word viridi in virology, viridi, it means family. Paramyxoviridae. Single-stranded RNA virus, reservoir, infected a human. So it's a human disease, not zoonotic, from animal to man. Transmission by airborne, ينعدي الطفل بسرعة, or direct contact through nasal throat secretions. Incubation period 10 to 14 days. 10 أيام إلى أسبوعين. Exposure to rash appearance. شو incubation period? From exposure to rash appearance. Diagnosis clinical, epidemiological. شو معناته epidemiological؟ يعني فترة شتاء عادة ينتشر هذا المرض. بالمستشفيات نعرف أنه الحالات كثيرة. فمن تتكرر الحالات بالمستشفى تجي حالات زي هالكلينيكال بيكتشر نعرف انه هذه ميزلز. تمام؟ clinical and epidemiological. Molecular, we can detect the virus by molecular method like PCR. And cell culture, we don't use it usually for routine diagnosis. We use it for research work, just to culture the virus. Complications, many complications for measles. That is why vaccination is very important. Vaccination of children to prevent the disease, because the disease has many complications. The main ones are bronchitis and pneumonia. Otitis media. عارفين شو otitis media؟ التهاب الأذن الوسطى. Encephalitis. التهاب الدماغ. Encephalitis, or sometimes pronounced encephalitis. Both correct. So encephalitis, subacute sclerosing pan-encephalitis, SSPE, which comes late, not immediately with the disease, years later. It manifested as psychoneurological manifestations. Psycho, it means حالات نفسية عصبية. Personality change, seizures, shamra, photosensitivity, ocular manifestation in the eye, that is to say, and coma. This is what SSPE, subacute sclerosing pan-encephalitis. These are the main complications of measles. So, الوقاية خير من العلاج. We have to prevent the disease by using the vaccine. What are the vaccines available? MMR, اللقاح المشترك, which will protect against measles, the first M, mumps, النكاح اللي يصيب الغدة, salivary gland, النكاح, mumps, and rubella. روبيلا اللي هي الحصبة الألمانية. في لقاح يتكون من 3 elements: measles, mumps, and rubella. 2 doses are required for children 12 to 15 months, من عمر سنة إلى سنة وشوي, and we can use another booster dose at entrance to school 4 to 6 years of age. The other vaccine is MMRV. Here the protection against measles, mumps, and rubella the same as the first one, but they have added the chicken pox. V varicella. هذه الحرف الفي هون, it means varicella اللي هو chicken pox. الجدري المائي راح ناخذه اليوم ان شاء الله. Both vaccines, the MMR and MMRV vaccine, can give a protection up to 20 years. Very good vaccines. Now, the other disease is the German measles, rubella. It's a mild, febrile, viral infection. The patient will have fine, pinkish, flat rash. احنا عم نحكي على الاكزانثين، الراش، صح؟ الطفح الجلدي. It starts 1 to 2 days after the onset of the disease, start on the face and neck, and then spread to the other parts of the body, trunk, arms, and legs. This disease is quite dangerous in the first 3 months of a pregnancy. That is why all females should be vaccinated. In the first trimester, if it occurs, it can lead to congenital rubella syndrome, which is a very dangerous condition. It can lead to effect on the fetus. The fetus may die. The female may get abortion, الإجهاض, or congenital malformation, تشوهات خلقية. طبعا في تفاصيل كثيرة, بس احنا بدنا نحكي microbiology today. We will have it in your clinical side. The incubation period is 16 to 18 days. This is a child with rubella, الحصبة الألمانية, which is the third exanteme disease. You have to know what is the first, which is the third, which is the fourth and fifth and sixth, etc. You have to correlate the numbers with the diseases. Rubella virus, the family Tocaviridae. You can see from the word viridae is family. مطلوب من عندنا لا ما مطلوب. شكل الفيروس هو هذا. Single stranded RNA, enveloped virus. Okay, just have a look to it. Reservoir, again human. So it's not an animal disease, it's a human disease. Transmitted in the same way as measles by droplet, direct contact with nasopharyngeal or respiratory secretion. Sneezing, coughing, etc. Nasal discharge. Laboratory diagnosis, immunodiagnosis. Immunodiagnosis like ELISA, for example. Molecular like PCR. Cell culture, زراعة الفيروس. Okay, the same as we have discussed with the measles. We come to the other disease. Erythema infectiosum, the fifth disease. The causative agent is called parvovirus B19. Single-stranded DNA here, not RNA, DNA virus. It has a 3-capsid protein. The capsid, it means the material that surrounds the nucleic acid. These are VP1 to 3. VP2, it means VP, what is VP? Viral protein. VP2 represents about 90% of the capsid protein. These viruses replicate in the erythroid precursor. You know what's معنات البريكيرسر؟ يعني البريكيرسر اللي تؤدي إلى تكوين الRBC. They attach via a blood P receptor. There is minor blood group called P blood group. So they attach via the P receptor and then goes inside the erythroid precursors. This virus can cause a syndrome called slab cheek syndrome. Slapped face. What is the slapped face? أجلكم الله كأنما واحد مضروب على وجهه. نتيجة الردنس اللي يصير على الوجه, على الcheek. So it is called the slap cheek syndrome or slap face. Initially the disease starts with a prodromal phase. Prodromal يعني الفيس البدائي الأول. As fever, runny nose, headache, يعني بمعنى آخر cold like كأنما مفلوس. تمام؟ fever, runny nose, headache يعني كأنما مفلوس. During this phase, the condition is very infectious to others, including the doctors, nurses, etc. When the rash starts, the rash are bright, red and itchy. Start on the face, cheeks, and then spread to other areas. So it starts mainly on the face and cheeks, right? During this stage, once the rash started, the disease is not infectious. So be careful. In the initial prodromal phase, it is very infectious or infectious. Once the rash appears, it is not infectious. Transmission again by secretion, respiratory route, and the blood. Why blood? Because it resides in the precursor, erythroid precursor. RT, it means respiratory tract. Okay? Complication, it has some complications with disease. In the fetus, if it occurs during a pregnancy, it can cause hydrops fetalis, miscarriage. Miscarriage يعني abortion, إجهاض. hydrops fetalis يعني رأس الجنين يكبر. يمتلئ excessive water or fluid. hydrops fetalis. راح تاخذوها إن شاء الله مستقبل بالكلينيكال. But for now, you should know that erythema infectiosum can lead to hydrops fetalis. يكبر رأس الجنين. sickle cell crisis. انتم تعرفوا شو هي sickle cell. ختمها بالAGLS العام الماضي اللي هي فقر الدم المنجلي. It can lead وشو علاقة السيكل سيل فقر الدم المنجلي أيضا RBC صح؟ والفيروس تبعنا it can enter into the erythroid precursor فأكيد له علاقة. Aplastic crisis in chronic hemolytic anemia, CHA. In HIV and in AIDS patient, complication can occur as anemia, and also it can lead to autoimmune diseases of the joints and connective tissue. CT here, connective tissue diseases. من المعنى autoimmune as joint autoimmune diseases and connective tissue disease. These are the complications of erythema infectiosa. Diagnosis, DNA probe as PCR. We can detect also specific IgM against the virus. This can be detected by ELISA. A treatment, symptomatic supportive. Usually viruses, we cannot use drugs for them, generally speaking. So supportive, if the patient, شو معنى supportive? If the patient has got fever, you give him antipyretic. If the patient has got pain, you give him painkiller, and so forth. In immunocompromised, ذوي النقص المناعي, we can give them immunoglobulin to help them. يعني أجسام مضادة خاصة للفيروس just to help them. Recombinant vaccine, VLP, which are the viral-like particles, VLP, is under study. Recombinant, يعني حضروا vaccine من قطع الفيروس, VLP. This is erythema infectiosa. Look to this child, okay? Rhizola infanta. It has another name, exantheme subbitum, which means sudden rash. Exantheme subbitum means sudden rash. This condition is common in 6 to 4 years. يعني في أعمار الأطفال 6 أشهر إلى 4 سنوات. It is caused by herpes virus. مو كل الherpes virus. Type 6 and 7. Okay? Type 6 A and B are the major causes. يعني لو واحد سألنا which one is more common, 6 or 7, we say 6 is the major cause. The patient will suffer from 3 to 5 days of fever, followed by faint transient rash. Faint يعني light. Okay? The treatment again supportive. Remember that this disease, the patient has fever, قفل, فما يجوز أن نعطي أسبرين. الأطفال أقل من عمر 16 سنة يجب أن ما نعطيهم أسبرين خلال الفيبر. Why? Because they develop Ray's syndrome. So remember Ray's syndrome, I will come back to it during this lecture. Remember Ray's syndrome may occur if you use aspirin in children to treat or to suppress temperature. Sometimes in difficult conditions, we use antiviral drugs like Ganciclovir, Val-Ganciclovir may be used. These are antiviral drugs common. Ganciclovir, Val-Ganciclovir. This is the Rhodiola infanta picture. Okay? For a child. We come to another condition, which are the warts. Warts الثالون. البروزات اللي تظهر على الجلد. It can occur on the skin and the mucous membrane. Remember, skin and mucous membrane. The main types of warts, verrucae or verruca vulgaris, which is the most common, venereal warts, and the plantar warts. Most of them are harmless, but some of them may transfer to cancer. Cancerous. So one have to be careful. The pathogens of the warts, the main one is a human papillomavirus, HPV. There are more than 70 types. We will discuss this virus with another system, also with the UGS, inshallah. The family, Papova viridae. Once you see viridae, it's a family. النيم غير مطلوب. Genus, papillomavirus. Double-stranded DNA virus. Reservoir, infected human. Transmission, direct contact, and sexual. That is why we are going to study it with the UGS, urogenital system. Genital warts are contagious. What's the meaning of contagious? يعني infectious. Diagnosis, clinical diagnosis, you will be able to diagnose the disease. The human papilloma virus structure, this is the human papilloma. It is relatively small virus, double-stranded, with capsid, and the capsid contains a protein structure L1, L2. الستركتشر مطلوب؟ لا ما مطلوب structure. بس have a look on it. Okay? Smallpox الجدري مرض قاتل جدا هذا. Fortunately, a human being has eradicated the smallpox from the earth since 1980. من قبل أكثر من 40 سنة it has been eradicated completely. But one has to remember why we have to differentiate it from other diseases. يعني ممكن يكون differential diagnosis. Secondly, this virus might be used in a biological weapon, أسلحة دمار. So الأطباء يجب أن يكونوا oriented. The condition starts as fever, malaise, headache, or prostration. What's the meaning of prostration? تعرق. Severe backache and the skin rash. Similar to chickenpox rash. فإذا الديفرنشال diagnosis chickenpox. وراح أتكلم عن chickenpox راح نحط differential diagnosis. So I will leave it. When I will talk about chickenpox, I will talk how to differentiate it from smallpox. There may be bleeding to the skin and mucous membrane. This excessive bleeding may lead to death. That is why it is a dangerous disease, very dangerous disease. وكده يمكن تشوفوا بعض الأفلام القديمة خاصة الأجنبية بيشرح على village affected by smallpox and the drama that is associated with such a disease. The pathogen of smallpox, there are two pathogens. The pathogen is called variola. We have called variola minor and variola major. Variola minor sometimes is called alastrine. It's very mild disease. Fatality less than 1%. But what we are concerned is with variola major, which causes smallpox. Fatality is 20 to 40% and even more. Double-stranded DNA envelope virus, family pox viridae from the name, and the genus orthopox virus. أسماء مطلوبة طبعا لا بس المعرفة يجب أن تعرف يعني. Potentially dangerous virus, as I said. كده. The structure of the virus. This is the structure of the virus. The one thing that I want you to know that the virus have got two lateral bodies. These are the lateral bodies. فتعطي للفيروس تخصص من هون. Lateral bodies. So if you see the virus, you will say this is the pox virus or vaccinia, which has two lateral bodies. Very important to know, two lateral bodies. The other parts of the structure is like other virus. Envelope, nucleic acid, etc. Diagnosis is clinical. The most important point in the clinical diagnosis, you have to be able to differentiate it from chickenpox. Cell culture, virology, يعني زراعة الفيروس. Virus and neutralization test, this is a virological test. And that is to say, antibody can catch the virus, the principle, neutralize it. Okay? Molecular, when we say molecular, it means like PCR. EM, electron microscope, and measure electronic. These tests should be performed in a lab which is called Biosafety Level 4 facilities. Why? Because it is very contagious, very dangerous. Monkeypox is a rare viral disease. It's a milder than انتوا شفتوا المونكي ديزيز بالآونة الأخيرة بالأشهر الأخيرة كان في حالات بالعالم آلاف من الحالات monkeypox milder than smallpox. It is associated with lymphadenopathy. This is different from smallpox. Smallpox has no lymphadenopathy, right? It is caused by monkeypox virus. Also, it is orthopox virus. This virus, ليش احنا ندرس المونكي pox? المونكeypox virus, it is used in the vaccine prepared against smallpox. Vaccinia virus. يعني اللقاح تبع السمولبوكس هو monkeypox. مو smallpox virus. Smallpox virus very dangerous, right? So they use, due to cross reactivity, they use monkeypox. وكذلك الآن المونكeypox موجود، يعني شفنا حالات في بعض الدول. Transmitted from animals, as I said, to a human being. Diagnosis, immunodiagnosis. شو immuno يعني antibody antigen like ELISA, molecular like PCR, EM electron microscope, and cell culture. The same as other, right? This is the monkeypox of a child. You can see the lesions. So we have to stop here. We will have 10 minutes break, and then we'll come